Alright, I am going to try to keep this video as short as possible, but this video is going to be just a quick run through of the books that I'm currently reading. And if you don't already read, I would highly suggest doing so. Alright, one of the reasons why I'm starting to do more and more of reading is because pretty soon, in a few months, I'll be basically heading off to university to basically, yeah, I'm going to be studying and I'll have to read a lot more, okay? And to read at university level, you have to be quite good at reading. You can't just read here and there, okay? So, and also, if you are like a musician or just a student in general, I think it's quite good for you to also read because there's a lot of information within books that you can't really find in videos as well. Because putting your focus onto books is quite different from putting it into a video. It's quite odd, okay? But if you can, keep doing it. I know it's gonna be hard. It was for me as well. I think it took like maybe maybe it took a week or two of like reading constantly, and it become much and more enjoyable. That's how it seems, anyways. So I would give it a shot. But I'm just gonna run through the books that I currently read. So right now, first of all, it's Meditations from Marcus Aurelius. If you've seen a bunch of my videos before, you probably understand that the philosophy that I'm closest to would be Stoicism, which is one of the reasons why I'm reading this book. Now, I don't read it in a normal way, so I'm still trying to get through it. As you can see, I'm like halfway through. But what I do, I actually take notes during the actual book as well and try to understand it a bit more, meaning that the second time that I actually read through this, I can I can see where I was kind of coming from and possibly build on it more. Okay. So if you don't know what this book is as well, so Marcus Aurelius, he was known as one of the greatest like Roman emperors. Okay, and a Roman emperor at the time, it was like one of the most powerful people that you could be. Okay, yeah, he kept basically a diary. Which this is basically his diary, but he never intended it for it to be published. But what happened is that because it was published, basically a lot of people found a lot of basically like answers to a lot of questions they would have about even just existence. Okay, it's quite powerful. I would highly recommend reading it. Now, because it was originally written in Latin as well, and I assume you're probably speaking English, or yeah, you probably understand English. I would look into the translations. Okay, there's a specific translation that's actually quite good. I'll get into that later, right? But this one is from, who was it? The translation is from Martin Hammond. Okay. I know there's a really good one. I don't know what it was exactly, but this is the one that I've stuck with. Okay. Meditations. Second one. I've actually just finished this today, but The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. I've mentioned this a few times in some videos, and it's basically about making the obstacles that you see basically turning the obstacles that you see into an advantage. Okay, like shifting your perspective. And I've just found it really helpful because it's very easy to kind of see obstacles and only focus on those and not see anything else. But if you challenge yourself all the time, if you want to like become, I guess, if you are quite ambitious and you see so many obstacles in your way, it can be very disheartened very easily. But what I found is that with this book, it basically tells you to like don't be a wuss. It gives many stories about these great people that have overcome even greater obstacles and the advice that they gave to themselves. And well, basically, you'll you'll have a lot of fun reading this book. It really is just like someone kind of telling you you're being a wuss, get over it. um, and really like that's where I found the story about Demosthenes. And even in the ending remarks, he speaks about Demosthenes as well. So very cool book. It's a very short book. It looks long, but it's not too bad. Third is Why We Sleep, Matthew Walker. So Matthew Walker is he's basically like a sleep expert. Okay, and he studied, I think it was at Harvard. I'm still trying to get through it, right? Because I was trying to mainly focus on this. I found this the most interesting. But we sleep a third of our lives, okay? And I want to understand why it's so important and the effects of it really. And that sounds kind of dumb, but what I'm trying to do with this channel as well is like I'm going to synthesize all this information for you and then give you all the information that you kind of need instead of you having to read all this. I'm kind of doing that for you. Okay? But I'll probably make a video about sleep. Probably be called like the Swiss Army knife. Like sleep is probably the Swiss Army knife of life. Okay? But so far, kind of interesting, kind of tough because it's kind of scientific as well. Okay? Number 4 is George Orwell's essays. Okay? It's a collection, so it's not all of them. However, it took me so long to get to the damn intro that I've only just gotten to the actual essays. But he seems quite so if you don't know who he is, George Orwell, he's one of the most influential writers of the 20th century. And I thought, because I want to hone the way that I kind of bring my thoughts together into speech, I guess, I thought it'd be worth looking into his essays and possibly his stories as well. Because obviously you get Animal Farm and 1984. Those are very, very big books. But that's why I'm reading this. I want to get better at writing, better at speaking as well. Okay? Very good author, but it's just the introduction. But I would also suggest this one thing as well. If you were planning on reading more and more, then I would not skip on the intro. The intro gives you like a background on basically why the book was really written, and it really does help because very often sometimes you can feel like you're reading a book but because you skip the intro you feel like you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. Having the intro really gives you a background. All right, it really does help. 5th book. Okay, now this is an odd book because I treat it in an odd way. Okay, I revisit it all the time. It's a bit like how do I describe this? I don't know the best way to describe this. You've probably seen this book before. It's quite famous. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now, this book, it goes through similarly to The Obstacle Is the Way. There's like a bunch of stories about how people have used certain, I guess, like rules. I guess that's the best way to probably put it, into like social stuff. Okay, so I'll give you one of them. It's probably not good if I can't remember it, which means I need to look into this more. So principle 2 is like give honest and sincere appreciation. Now that sounds very, very simple to do, okay? But it goes into examples, into the, like real world examples, and even like business or personal life, and then it really shows you, oh, I haven't really been doing that, and then it really does help because I think the world obviously revolves around people connecting with other people. Okay, humans are social creatures. You should at least try to understand how to speak to another person, okay, and treat someone else well, okay? That's why I'm reading this, and I revisit it all the time. Again, this is also not a long book. It's quite easy to read because the writer, he's very conversational, okay, so it doesn't read like a normal book. It kind of feels like you're kind of just talking to him, but it's quite enjoyable to actually read, so I would recommend this as well. Last book, I haven't read this too much either. In fact, I think I lost the bookmark, so I don't even know where I am with this. But this is the big fat surprise. All right, it's basically about diet. Again, I don't really know too much about it. I just picked it up at like a secondhand store. I thought it was kind of interesting. It's talking about why butter, meat, and cheese belong in a healthy diet, and that can seem contrary to belief, which is why I picked it up. Okay, because I want to challenge like why I believe in something. Okay, so I just picked it up. I haven't really read it too much. Again, I don't even know where I even am with this. But yes, I think it cites some studies as well. So it's not just speaking and speaking, okay? So that's kind of cool. But that's basically my reading list, okay? At the current moment, I will obviously read other books as well, but that's where I am right now. Okay. It's very, very odd, isn't it? I mean, there is another book, I don't have it with me right now. It's Musicophilia by Oliver Sacks, and it goes into why music is so important, basically to the human experience and how it affects us as well. In fact, it even speaks about how one guy was struck by lightning, and I think his name was like Tony Cicero, and then he became this basically a music prodigy. Okay, then again, he was so obsessed with it that his marriage fell apart. But then he was kind of okay. He kind of accepted it. Okay, it's kind of interesting. But I'm still trying to read that as well. I just don't have it with me right now. Hopefully, this is helpful. If you have any questions, or you would even just like to, I don't know, if you'd like to ask me about, I don't know, what I think of a certain book, then please go ahead. Okay, but other than that, I hope you found this video helpful. I'll see you later. Bye bye.